Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. I'm so excited. We're back to OJ again. This is, I don't know what I miss more on my days off, OJ or my regular stream. Like, I can't wait to see what's next for in the OJ trial. And I really, really, really hate that I know the answer. I know the outcome. I wonder I would have thought if I didn't already know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I really wish that I was watching this for the first time and I didn't know. But there's a lot of things I don't know. Darn near everything I don't know. Everything they say I don't know. So I really love watching this. All right, let's just see where we are real quick. Let's see what we're going to do today. So we have 40 minutes left here. Oh man, the next one is a 2 hour. I can't do that today because court's open at 8. All right, let's just get to it.
Oh. I don't recall you mentioning that in your direct examination, did you?
I believe it did, yes, sir.
You did?
Yes.
Well, tell us about it. What did you do from the north residence?
Lieutenant Spangler had walked to the north residence of 875 South Bundy and looked between the iron fence that was about 3 or 4 feet from the feet or buttocks area of the male victim, and he noticed a portion of bare skin, and he said, "You can see some type of a wound there." And he directed me to go over there, and I did. And I looked at it, and it appeared to be a laceration of some sort.
Where?
I believe it was on his side or his back.
Mm-hmm. And where were you standing when you observed that?
There's a walkway that goes on the north side of the white wrought iron fence that separates those two residences between 875 and the one to the
Which tape are you talking about?
north.
Whose property were you standing on, as you understand it, when you made the observation with Lieutenant Spangler?
I don't know.
You know what time it was when you made that observation?
Oh, I understand. You mean where Furman drops a whole bunch of F-bombs? Okay, I don't know the answer to that. And here's why. I stepped away from OJ for like 4 minutes 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, sometime within the last 10 days. And when I got back to my desk, all I saw was chat messages saying like, "Oh, I didn't know he was that racist," or whatever. So I don't. Someone else is going to have to tell you who was here during that 4 minutes. If they played any tape while I was, over there and missed it.
Probably somewhere right after 3:30.
Long after you were off the case, then?
Yes.
All right. Well, then you did not spend the entire time down at the intersection waiting for Messrs. Van Adder and Lang.
Except for that, no.
All right. Tell me how it occurred that Lieutenant Spangler took you up there as a detective no longer on the case to make this observation. Did he come to you at the intersection?
Yes.
Right. And what did he say?
Well, he just went up to view the scene from the north residence, so he didn't disturb it.
How long had he been there, if you know?
I don't know, sir.
You didn't see him arrive?
I don't know when he arrived, no.
Did he arrive after you or before you?
After.
Okay. But as to the time, you don't know?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So he said something to you about a view. Did he invite you or direct you? He was your boss, wasn't he?
He directed me. He said that there was some sort of a wound on the male victim. It's visible.
Okay. So you walked back up Bundy where the bloody paw prints were?
No.
Where did you walk?
I just walked up the street and then entered the north residence.
You stayed off the sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
Walked up the street?
Yes.
And walked around what we call the fence, against which the male victim's body was kind of crumpled?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how far into the property did you go? How many rungs of the fence would you estimate? Vertical rung?
Where the male victim was.
Okay. Can you place yourself with respect to the fence?
Directly to the north of the fence where the victim was.
All right. How long did you spend there?
5 seconds.
How long was Lieutenant Spangler there with you, if he was?
He wasn't, but when he walked over there, I think he was just there for a few moments.
When you walked up the street, was he walking beside you?
I don't recall if he did or he didn't.
Did he come with you to the location to whose view he had commended you?
I don't believe so, no.
All right, you believe you were alone at that point.
Yes,
You walked in. Did you have your little flashlight?
yes,
Did you use it?
yes,
Were there any other lights being shown on the area at that time?
no,
Was anybody else on the crime scene near the body inside the fence?
no,
Was anybody next to the fence on either side?
no,
Was anybody accompanying you in any way for
No.
that visit?
no, sir.
And how close to you was the nearest detective or officer, as you remember,
On the street,
on the street?
yes.
So that would be what, 20 feet? At least?
Probably longer than that,
More than that?
yes.
Yes. Okay. And you think that you were there for about 5 seconds?
Just long enough to look at the wound.
And then where did you go?
Just went back to the street.
And,
I made a comment to Lieutenant Spangler, it looks like a laceration.
okay, is that all that you said?
That's all I said.
You say anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, did you then go back to the intersection?
Yes.
Now, you had been gone from the intersection less than what, 3 or 4 minutes?
I don't even think that long, sir.
And did you stay there with Detective Phillips until Detective Van Adder arrived at about 4:05?
Yes.
Did you talk to Detective Phillips about the case?
I don't recall talking about the case now.
Did you talk to him about the fact that you fellas were no longer on the case?
No,
Did you talk at all, or did you just stand there for an hour?
well, I talked, but I don't recall talking about this case.
Is it fair to say that absolutely no detecting went on from 2:50 until 4:05, except for your little visit to the fence?
I'd say that's accurate.
Now, did you tell Phillips that this looked like a knife wound, this wound, or a sharp instrument?
I think the term I used was a laceration.
How are lacerations inflicted in your vocabulary, Detective Frank?
Well, laceration would be somewhat of a tear, where a stab wound would be an incision.
A tear inflicted by what instrument? Bare hand?
I don't know, sir.
Don't know. When you looked at the laceration, do you have any training in examining wounds with a view toward determining how they were inflicted?
No, sir.
You never covered that in any of your courses?
Well, I surely couldn't from where I was standing looking at a small laceration in the dark.
All right. Now, you say a small laceration. How big?
It appeared to be about an inch, 3/4 to an inch long.
An inch. And you say a tear rather than a slice or incision?
That was just my impression, sir.
Did you see a jagged edge with your little flashlight?
It just appeared more to be a laceration than it did an incision.
And the distinction you draw in using those two words, laceration and incision, is one is a tear and the other is a cut. Is that right?
One has clear edges and one does not.
And which kind was this?
It just appeared that the ends of it looked somewhat torn.
You mean the wound was turned in upon itself?
No, I think it was a little puffy, if I remember right.
Okay. It didn't look like a gunshot wound by a long shot, did it?
Not to me, no.
And it didn't look like he'd been bludgeoned, did it?
I couldn't make that determination, but I would have to say no.
That particular wound.
That's true.
It was not the work of a bludgeon, was it?
Didn't appear to be, no.
No. And you mentioned all this to Phillips.
I think I mentioned to Lieutenant Spangler. Phillips might have overheard it, but we were all standing pretty much in the same general area.
Now, is that the sum total of the observations you made on that little excursion? You saw a knife wound and that's it?
Yes, sir.
Nothing else?
I don't believe so, no.
How about a couple of gloves, Detective?
Excuse
Did you
me?
see a couple of gloves up there?
No, I saw one glove.
Well, you didn't mention that a minute ago, and I asked you if you'd seen anything else. You now say you saw one glove.
Well, I already talked about the one glove and the hat.
You hadn't talked about this excursion before, I don't believe. But I asked you if you saw anything other than a laceration. You said no. You want to correct that?
Objection. At what time?
The only visit he made to the fence, as I understand it. Did you make more than one detective from it?
More than one what?
To that vantage point to view Goldman's body, did you make more than the one that you made at the behest of Detective Spangler?
No.
All right. That's the sole opportunity you had to observe from that point on the north property. True?
Yes, sir.
I asked you if you saw anything other than the laceration. I believe you said no.
I don't understand why they are grilling him when he literally had a 5-second look at that body, right? And they're grilling him about what he saw. Why don't they talk to the people that investigated the body?
No, did you?
I thought you were speaking about the body.
You did?
Yes.
You thought my question restricted you from mentioning anything not connected with the victim's body. Is that right?
Well, I had already testified to the other evidence I observed, and I thought you were talking about new items that I had seen
When did you testify to that?
this morning.
Okay. This morning?
Well, excuse me,
You don't mean that, do
the
you?
last direct.
Last week?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when?
Thursday or Friday, sir.
But you're satisfied that in the transcript of your direct testimony, there is mention of this view, the laceration, and the glove and the fence on the north property. You're satisfied of that?
Oh, I'm not sure if I testified to that or not. I think we were working up to that. We might have. I might be incorrect.
We worked up to it.
In other words, we were chronologically going through the crime
Now,
scene.
look, Detective Furman, there is a problem with that testimony, isn't there? The testimony about the view through the fence.
No, there isn't.
There's a problem that's been brought to your attention, isn't there, Detective Furman?
No.
When discussing this event in the preliminary hearing and talking about the glove, his tongue slipped and you said them, didn't you?
Yes.
And you've examined that in the transcript, haven't you?
Yes.
And you know it's been played on video to the jury. The word them is clear.
Yes.
Was that a slip of the tongue?
No.
It was not. Okay. Now, when Detective Van Adder came, you're off the case.
Yes.
What did you do?
I waited for direction from Detective Phillips.
You don't speak to Van Adder, only through Phillips?
Well, Detective Phillips is my boss. If
I
we're going to be,
understand
if we're going to be relieved,
Mr. Bailey, let him finish the answer.
that. Sorry.
if we're going to be relieved, I'll be relieved by Detective Phillips as far as where I'm going to go at that point.
Okay. Was there some discussion
see
about
what's
what
next.
you fellas, Detectives
in the
Phillips and Furman, should do?
Yes.
And what were you directed to do?
At that time from Detective Van Adder?
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of what we were directed to do.
Or what did you in fact do?
Well, at some point, we led Detective Van Adder and Lang to the Rockingham estate.
You say at some point. Can you help us a little better than that? We're talking 4:05 now when Detective Lang arrives.
Yes, sir.
Van Adder, I'm sorry.
Do you want a time? What time we did that?
Now, can you tell us how long you stayed at Bundy with Detective Van Adder before you went to Rockingham?
Yeah, Detective Van Adder got there at, as you said, 4:05. Detective Lang, 4:25. And at 5 o'clock, we left for Rockingham.
Now, when you went to Rockingham, how were you paired?
Detective Phillips and I were in a vehicle. He was driving. Lang and Van Adder were in their vehicle.
Do you know a photographer named Rokar?
Yes, sir.
Did you see him arrive on the scene at 3:25 that day?
Yes, I recall he was there fairly early.
Were you? Did you observe him taking any photographs?
Yes, I think he was taking photographs of some of the intersections.
Did you give him any direction with respect to photographs that needed to be taken?
No, I didn't.
Did you have any conversation with him at all?
No, I don't believe I did.
When you left for Rockingham, did he go with you?
No.
He did not?
No.
Was there anyone with you other than the 4 detectives initially?
No.
Did others come after you arrived and before you entered the property?
I believe there was a uniformed vehicle, police vehicle, that arrived just as we had already made entry, and they stayed at the front gate.
Okay. And is this during the time when you were looking for West Tech, or was that after you failed to gain entrance by punching the button on the intercom?
You mean when the police vehicle arrived?
No. When the calls were being made through Rossi, I believe, to West Tech by Phillips. Did that happen after you had failed to gain entrance in the routine way?
I believe you're asking, could you ask that question?
Withdraw the question. Did anyone peer through the gate to see if there was anybody inside on the premises, if you can recall, any of the four of you?
You could just see right through the gate. You didn't need to peer.
But did anybody go up and take a look, if you know?
We were standing in front of the gate.
All of
Yes.
you. You had a fairly sweeping view of the interior of the walls.
You mean of the driveway, sir? Yes, looking south.
Were you wearing a sidearm that night?
Yes.
Did you withdraw it at any time
No.
during the entire night?
I could have on the pathway, but I don't have any recollection if I did or I didn't.
Well, you've never mentioned drawing your sidearm up to this point in your prior testimony, have you?
No.
Do you have any recollection now as you sit there that you drew a sidearm?
I can't remember if I did or I had my hand on it, but no, I can't.
Just don't have a memory about that. True?
That's correct.
Did anybody direct you to go down and look at the Bronco?
No.
That was something you decided to do on your own.
Yes, sir.
And that's a car that you had seen as you drove by it, approaching Rockingham, traveling north, coming up from Sunset.
Yes.
Had you any reason as you passed by it to associate it with Mr. Simpson? Just
No.
based on looking at it.
No.
Had you noticed that there were vehicles parked inside the surround, that is, inside the fence enclosure?
Yes, I noticed vehicles inside.
And had you been able to identify them in the light that was available at the time?
I didn't know what the large luxury vehicle was, but I could tell by the lines of the one vehicle was a Saab.
Okay. And you didn't know whether the large vehicle was, did it look foreign made?
Yes, it was a
Did it look
foreign.
expensive?
Yes.
Okay. When you walked down to the Bronco, did you ask permission from Lieutenant Van Adder before you did that?
Detective Van Adder? No.
I'm sorry, Detective Van Adder. Detective Phillips?
No.
Detective Lang?
No.
So this was on your own initiative,
Yes.
and you were detective. At this point, I take it.
I'm sorry.
You were detective.
I was detecting.
You had been frozen in your function by the notice of dismissal, but now you are back again detective. True?
No, at that point I wasn't detecting. I was just walking.
You weren't just being nosy, were you?
I don't think nosy. I was walking and I noticed something on the Bronco and I continued walking towards it.
Well, was this a walk that you took to get some exercise and just happened to take you by the Bronco? Is that what happened?
It wasn't a walk for exercise. I just walked down to the corner and looked down Rockingham, saw the Bronco.
Was it a walk specifically to inspect the Bronco for some purpose, Detective Furman?
No.
Was it?
No.
Is it simply that you were in its vicinity and decided to look around once you got there?
I was walking down towards the Rockingham gate. As I walked towards the Bronco, I noticed a few things.
While you were walking toward the Rockingham gate, were you going to try to get in that gate?
No.
Had you examined it to see if access was possible?
I don't think access was on my mind at that point.
Had anybody directed you to check out the Rockingham gate to see if
No.
you could get in?
No.
And as you walked by the Bronco on the street side, toward the center of the street, how light was it at that moment?
It was getting light, but it wasn't completely dawn yet.
Can you help us as to what time it may have been when you walked by the Bronco? Time of day.
5:20, 5:25.
And you think that the dawn was beginning to come, some natural light was on the scene at the time?
Maybe somewhat, yes.
Well, you weren't able to see into the Bronco without your flashlight, you told us.
That's correct.
Had you been wandering down the street with that little bitty flashlight on, just kind of pointing off to the side?
No.
Did something cause you to stop and turn your flashlight on to inspect the Bronco?
Yes.
What was that?
A little speck above the door handle on the driver's side.
Is that something that caught your eye or something that you discovered by inspection?
I think it's something that caught my eye.
And at that point, you turn on your flashlight to take a closer look.
Yes, then I inspect it.
Okay. And after you see that, you look further, correct?
Yes,
And you see some additional evidences that you think might be blood.
yes.
Would you describe once again what it was that you saw and where you saw it? Not the one above the driver's door handle, but elsewhere.
In the door sill of the driver's door, directly below the door, visible from the outside on the edge of the door sill, 3 or 4 little marks, little lines, translucent red.
And to whom, other than the detectives, did you direct attention as to these little marks?
Who did I show those marks to?
Yeah.
Dennis Fung, the criminalist.
Okay. Did you recommend to him that they would be worth photographing?
I made no recommendations.
Did you ever see a photographer at Rockingham?
Yes,
Who was that?
I saw Mr. Rokar there.
When?
He came back up with me after I returned to the Bundy scene. So that would have been sometime after 7:30.
Did you ever speak to him about photographs?
No.
Do you know if there is anywhere today a photograph of what you say you saw on the lower part of the Bronco below the door?
I have not seen a photograph.
Now, was that Bronco locked, Detective Furman?
I did not try to open the door.
Ever?
No.
Never touched the door handle that whole day, the 13th?
I did not.
Or any part of the car?
I laid the back of my palm on the hood of the car to see if the vehicle was warm. Yes, sir.
Taking its temperature?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Other than that, no.
Well, you touched the vehicle when you cupped your flashlight in order to see in through the tinted window you've described?
No.
You didn't touch it?
No.
You simply came close?
I tried to cup the light so I could get a view inside.
Okay. And you then brought to the attention of the other detectives, at least, I believe, Tom Lang, the fact that you had made this observation.
Yes.
Did you show it to anyone else?
Detective Van Adder
Mhm.
and Detective Lang, and I believe Detective Phillips came down at some point, but I'm not sure when.
Okay. And that was as a result of your returning to the Ashford Gate, mentioning what you had seen, and them walking back with you to the Bronco.
I'm not sure I walked all the way back to the Ashford Gate. I think I walked to the intersection of Ashford and Rockingham and motioned.
Okay. But then you went back with them
Yes,
to
sir.
point out with your flashlight what you thought you had seen.
Yes.
Did you also show them the interior with the shovel and the plastic?
Yes, I'm not sure how well they saw it, but I showed them to the best I could, yes.
All right. Now, what significance did you draw at that time from the presence of the shovel and the Bronco?
Well, I didn't know. I had no idea what that shovel meant.
And you didn't know what the plastic meant?
No.
Because you didn't know then and didn't know until Saturday that it came with the car, right?
That's true.
Okay. Is it fair to say that it was not an important matter that was discussed by you fellas, the presence of the shovel?
I don't know if it could be on its own. It could be important. Collectively, it could have some impact.
Whose idea was it to go to Rockingham, if you know?
Commander Bushy, I believe.
Okay. And how was that conveyed to you? You didn't speak to the commander, did you?
No, Detective Phillips did.
Okay. And how did you learn that you were going to Rockingham?
I was told when I came back from talking to Officer Risky, get in the car.
Just said, get in the car?
Yeah, well, Ron said, let's go. And I heard Detective Lang and Van Adder, I believe it was Detective Lang, said, Ron, Mark, let's go. Ron said, let's go. I got into the car, and then he told me when we were in the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. What did he tell you?
Said we were going to go make a notification, take us up to the Rockingham house.
Had you talked with anyone on the scene that night, anyone at all, about your prior experiences in the Simpson matter, in 85 and 89, either or both?
Yes, the 85 incident.
To whom did you convey that?
When Detective Phillips was on the phone, he broke away, it appeared to be in mid-conversation, and asked if I knew how to get up to the Simpson house on Rockingham.
Okay, back up a minute if we could. Detective Phillips is now on the phone at about 5 o'clock.
I think it was a little before that.
cellular phone?
Yes,
And so someone is discussing something with him that causes him to ask you if you know your way to Rockingham.
yes.
And what did you tell him at that time? That you'd been there once before?
I was there on a family dispute a long time ago, and yeah, I probably could get up there.
And what were you told by Detective Phillips was the purpose in the trip to Rockingham?
When we got in the vehicle, he told me it was to make a notification.
Now, were you looking as you proceeded with the case? And I take it at this point you were sort of back in the case. Was that your understanding?
No,
Well, did you know that Detective Van Adder said on July 6th that you were in the case always, up to and including that day?
well, I think in my mind, I know Detective Phillips, and he's going to render any assistance to robbery homicide he can until they want us relieved, and that's exactly what I thought we were doing.
All right. Well, were you on active duty, so to speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you know that what the purpose was of going to Rockingham?
When I got in the vehicle, I did. Yes.
Yes. Was it to look for victims or suspects or anything of that sort?
No, to my knowledge, it was a notification.
Had anyone determined, as of that point, whether Mr. Simpson was in town?
No,
Was the fact that he traveled a great deal ever discussed by the detectives before you went up there?
I don't think anybody would have known that. I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Now, at some point, you've told us you became sufficiently concerned that you and your colleagues decided it was necessary to forcibly enter the premises by climbing over the wall, right?
Yes.
And that was because of some concern on your part that there might be suspects or victims on the premises, somebody in need of help.
That's correct.
Is that so?
Yes, sir.
You went to the front door and couldn't raise anyone, correct?
Are you talking about after?
Yes, after
we
you
entered?
all got inside.
Yes, sir.
And then walked around on the north path to what turned out to be the bungalow room belonging to Cato Cave.
That's correct.
When the others went to talk to Arnell, you remained behind.
Hold on. Because this might answer my question, even though I don't think it does. Okay. He knocked on the door, rang the bell. No, he didn't. He was at the gate. He was at the gate that the cars go through. And he's ringing, they're all ringing the bell. Now, what he just said is he walked on the path, on the north path toward Cato Kalin's room. Okay, so does that mean all right, hold on. Let me get this. Let me whip out my paint. Let me whip out my paint. So here's what here's what I was thinking. All right. So this is OJ Simpson's house is right here on a corner lot. All right. And then, okay, this makes more sense. Down this way are the bungalows. And like this is Cato's right here. And then these two are Arnell's, I think. Or I know Cato's isn't at the very end. Or this right here is Cato's. And these two are Arnell's. All right. So the fence goes the whole way around. This is the curb. I thought that the Bronco was here, parked crookedly. Not really. All right. Arnell had this one and this one, which probably means Cato's is this right here. Here's the gate to get into the house and the button they're all pushing. And Phillips is standing here on his cell phone. I had to mark that because they said it a billion times. All right. So I don't know. I do not know. Okay. So They're ringing the bell, and then he said it took the north path. So that must mean they walked around the gate, or Furman at least walked around the gate this way and stopped magically. No, he didn't stop at Cato's. He did not stop at Cato's. Cato was the one after they got in to tell them something happened here last night. All right. Let's say the Bronco was really here instead of here. That would make more sense if the glove was found right here, is if the Bronco was right here. Right? Before I was thinking that Cato's room was like there was a neighbor. There was like his room was beside the neighbor's house, and you would have to go into the neighbor's yard to get to his back. But now I'm thinking, no, the street is right outside of Cato's room. And if the Bronco was here or anywhere on this, actually, if the Bronco was anywhere here or back, then it would make sense. Maybe a little bit, a tiny slither of a little bit that they got out of the Bronco. Except, A, why would they park here when the front gate is here? And why in the world would they jump over the fence? Why would OJ jump over the fence? That just doesn't make any sense. His home is right here. He could just pull in and walk right into his house. But the Bronco was definitely parked on the street. That happened. To not be seen going to his own home. So if he's here, how is that different than here? I mean, the Bronco is parked on the street. So people are going to see that it's parked on the street. And like if they will know, like I know, when I get home from work, let's say I get home from work 11 p.m. I know where my neighbor's car is on the street. So if the next morning I see a car here that wasn't there when I got home from work at 11 o'clock, I know that sometime after 11 o'clock and before I woke up, that they parked their car there. So I'm just saying, if he didn't want to be seen, shouldn't he have driven into his driveway right here? Ooh. He lent his Bronco to someone who wasn't able to get through the gate. If that's true, then he didn't kill them. But I don't know. I don't know, because how? It was just dumb luck that Ron was going to her house that night. The only reason he was going to her house that night was to return glasses that were accidentally left at the restaurant. It's not like they had a date and they had made plans to meet. But this glove back here doesn't make any sense in any situation. And I from the pictures, to me, it really looked like the Bronco was here, not over here. Hold on. Trying to find a picture. Okay, hold on. I have a picture. Is that the Bronco parked badly? All right, this picture is exactly what I thought to begin with. This is Cato's house, and it's on the neighbor's side. All right. So now I'm really, really, really confused. So the Bronco, I think, is here. I think this is the Bronco parked really badly. So if OJ killed Nicole, then he came home that night, parked badly, and instead of just going into his house, walked over here in the neighbor's yard, the whole way over here, and then jumped over the fence to leave a glove back here. How does a glove in anybody's imagination get way back here? Unless, all right, I just murdered someone. I just murdered my ex-husband. All right. I'm bloody. I got a bloody glove. I got bloody clothes, blah blah blah. And I get to my house and I'm panicking. I'm not thinking straight and I'm panicking. What do I do with my bloody clothes? Yeah, I could see myself taking them way out back to the corner of my house, to like bury them or hide them in case the police come. That I can definitely see. And at the back of my house, I have a very little shed, and it has a sliver right over here where I can walk that way and maybe hide the clothes. That makes that makes sense, except it doesn't, because there was a loud bang on Cato's wall, which would indicate somebody jumped over the fence right here and then hit the wall on their way over. So maybe he had bloody stuff and he was going to hide it in his neighbor's yard and then decided to jump over his fence and hide it in his yard. I can get there. Trying to see if I can find a better picture. That picture where he's standing pointing at the blood. To see if we can see where that Bronco is. I want to see that picture of Fung pointing at it. Because I found it. No, this is not it. Is it? I don't think this is the picture. But look, there's the corner right there. The Okay, guys, we're getting somewhere. If you look at that picture, the Bronco is parked here because you can see the curve. You see the curve turning right there. So right here is where the Bronco is parked. Right here. No, it's not. Because look, there's 2 trees there. And there's no trees here. This must have been a later picture. I think this picture, I think that's the wrong picture. It doesn't look exactly like the one that we saw when we were looking at the evidence. All right, maybe I should get back to OJ and stop messing around. Just trying to figure it out so that we can. I'm just desperately looking for this picture real quick, and I don't see. There it found it. I found it, and it's absolutely unhelpful. Okay, there's no trees there. There's that. there's that. So it's parked past, it's parked here badly, right here, because that is definitely the original picture. And look, see the lamppost? Here it is right here. So it's parked over here. So how in the hell did the glove get way over here? Unless OJ went into his house and then panicked and tried to hide it in his backyard somewhere. But just doesn't explain the thump unless he's walking here and he just accidentally falls into the wall. Maybe he's running. Maybe he's running and he just accidentally falls. That makes sense. You murder someone, you're running to hide the evidence. That would make sense. There's no other. So I can't get to the fact that Furman went the whole way over here and planted a glove that night that Cato was sleeping. I can't get to that. Nothing will make me jump to that. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And if he was going to plant the glove, why would he plant it way back here? And why would he make so much noise doing it? So that doesn't make sense. I don't know. But I'm thinking he panicked. He tried to get rid of the bloody clothes. That's what I'm thinking. All right, back to our regularly specs. No, don't save that. Please don't save that. Yeah, I mean, he could have buried them. He was on his way to bury them, and then, he got confused. Yeah, how would they get back to that wall, though? They would have to be going into the neighbor's yard. WhatsApp is on my phone, so I can't share a link. Alan Park's limo driver is sitting in his limo outside of the gate. They found blood drops in the driveway, tailing from his gate up to his house. How could he have done that? I'm a little confused. Alan's testimony states he saw a man in dark clothes cross the driveway and go into the house. I just listened to Tom Lang talk about OJ probably trying to hide his bloody clothes and knife in the back of the house in some 20 by 20 area. But he didn't make it all the way back there. He collided with the AC unit, dropped the right-hand glove. Again, how were those driveway drops made if he only crossed the driveway? He didn't walk into from the gate. Alan Park would have definitely seen him. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to listen to the trial. Yeah, but we don't always get to see the diagrams. We only see little pick corners of it, maybe. Maybe.
Yes.
Were you concerned about who Kalen was?
Yes.
Were you concerned about whether he had the right to be there?
He appeared it just appeared that he had the right to be there. I just didn't know who he was.
Well, was he a suspect at that point?
I think he was not a suspect, but we didn't know anything about him at that point.
Okay. Why did you give him a sobriety test?
To make sure he wasn't under the influence of alcohol.
And why were you concerned about that?
His eyes were just really bloodshot and glassy, and he was all.
But if he'd been under the influence of alcohol, I'm
Mr. Bailey,
sorry.
let him finish.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't under the influence.
All right. And if he had been, what were you going to do then?
Well, I don't know, sir. I probably wouldn't have interviewed him right then. Or maybe I would have taken him inside. I don't know.
You looked around the premises
Yes.
where he was.
Yes.
And meanwhile, the others, to your knowledge, had left and gone into the main house.
I didn't know where they were.
Well, they weren't with Arnell anymore when you came out, were they?
Well, when I came out, I looked to my right. I didn't see him. So I looked to my left and I saw an open door.
Cato went with you into the main house.
Yes.
And as you passed by the kitchen, you had already seated him in the bar stool.
Yes, sir.
And you saw Phillips on the phone.
Yes.
Did you know he was talking to Mr. Simpson?
I didn't know who he was talking to, sir.
Did you inquire of any of these fellows as to what Mr. Phillips was doing?
No.
All right. Did you see Detective Lang comforting Arnell?
No.
What did you see him doing? Did you see him in the room?
I believe he was in the room, but I saw Detective Van Adder. That's who I focused on.
Did you see Arnell in the room? Mr. Simpson's daughter?
I believe that she was, but I'm not positive.
All right. Now, had you interrogated Cato in his room about what he might know that could help you with the solution of this crime?
I asked him a few questions. They weren't directly crime scene questions. No.
Well, you had been trained to interrogate people, hadn't you?
Yes.
And you had interrogated many suspects in your career, had you not?
Yes.
An interrogation is an important part of police procedure.
Yes, sir.
Were you questioning him with a view toward learning something that might be important in the case?
Didn't I just show you where it was? Didn't I? Didn't I show you where it was because of the lamppost? When you say check Discord, do you mean private message? Yeah, right here. Right, the lamppost is right there. Yep. Yep. Are these blood drops? And there's where the glove was. There we go. Was there blood here? I don't know what this is. Wait, I wish I could see this better. Wish I could see that letter. I don't know what letter this little red mark right here is. They can't be blood drops, right? Oh God, where was the 11 cents? Guys, we don't know where the 11 cents is. That's why he's innocent. No one knows where that 11 cents went. I have to. Now my Discord is over in that window. I can't open Discord anymore today.
Could be, yes.
Looking for some little slip of the tongue he might make that could be significant?
I didn't know what we were looking for, sir.
You didn't know what you were looking
No.
for. But you did question Cato for a time, and then you came out to the kitchen, seated him in a bar stool, and said to Detective Van Adder, you ought to go talk to him.
Yes.
So why did you think that Detective Van Adder, your superior, should be directed to go talk to Cato Kalin on a bar stool?
Well, he could take that interview and put it to a formal interview on paper where
You couldn't do that?
I shouldn't at that point unless I'm directed to by Detective Van Adder.
Okay. But instead you directed him, it sounds like.
I didn't direct him. I just said, you might want to talk to this guy at the bar or talk to this guy at the bar, something along
What
that
was
line.
Detective Lang doing at this point? Was he tied up doing anything, if you know?
I didn't see, he wasn't in the forefront of the kitchen. Detective Van Adder was. I saw him first.
Mm-hmm. Now, you then walked out the front door.
Yes.
You had no direction from anyone to do that, did you?
No, I didn't.
This, again, was Detective Furman on his own, was it not?
Yes.
You had an idea that you would like to check out Cato's claim that some unusual noise had occurred at about 11:15 that night on the outside of the wall of Cato Kalin's room.
That's correct.
Did Cato tell you, by the way, that OJ had left for the airport in the limo he had seen when he came out that night after hearing the noise at around 11 p.m.?
No.
Did you ever ask him what a limo was doing there at 11 p.m.?
No, I cut his conversation off and brought him into the house.
As a matter of fact, you asked him if he'd heard anything unusual, and then you cut him off and said, who drives that Bronco, didn't you?
I believe I did.
Why'd you cut him off?
I don't know, sir.
You interrupted an answer to get a different answer. Was that an important question? Who drives that Bronco?
No, he answered that question. He answered that
I
question.
know that. In order to get that answer, you cut him off from answering the previous question, which was, did something unusual happen tonight or anything unusual? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Why was who drives the Bronco so important as to interrupt the witness?
I can't give any reason why it went down like.
All right, so you asked no questions about him having seen Mr. Simpson that night or at any given time?
No, he'd been previously asked about if he knew Mr. Simpson was in the house, and he said he did not.
No, but then he told you, Detective Furman, as I understand it, that he had been awakened or had his attention drawn as he was talking on the phone to someone by a strange noise, picture that shuddered, something you say sounded like crashing into a wall, and that he then went outside and saw a limousine there at about 11 o'clock. Isn't that what he told you?
Something to that effect, yes.
And you didn't ask him why the limousine was there?
No.
And you didn't ask him if Mr. Simpson had been the one using the limousine?
No, I didn't.
Cato Kalin didn't look to you like a fellow who rode around in limousines, did he? Did he?
In this area of Los Angeles, I don't think you could say
You
that.
think maybe he ordered the limousine and then somehow stayed behind? Is that it?
I had no idea, sir.
He didn't tell you anything about using it, did he?
The limousine?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Now, was it for the purpose of discovering why the limousine was there that you asked Van Adder to talk to him?
No, I wanted Van Adder to talk to Cato about everything that he saw and heard.
Detective Furman, were you not concerned that on the premises there might be suspects that night? Violent, vicious people?
I think I was leaning more towards another victim than I was a suspect.
Have you not testified that you were concerned that there were suspects there that night?
I said victims. I preface it with victims,
Have you not
possibility of
testified
suspect.
that you were concerned that there were suspects?
Mr. Bailey, he was still answering the question.
I'm sorry.
I preface that with my first concern was victims, hostage, possible suspect.
What
Yes.
did you mean earlier today when you said, I didn't want my back turned to the other end of the alley?
Once I found a glove, that pivoted towards more suspect than victim.
Now, Detective Furman, you went out there in the alley where you'd never been before, did you not?
What alley, sir?
Along the chain link fence where Cato said he heard a noise. Did you not?
Yes, I went in that pathway.
You walked there by yourself, correct?
Yes,
You were wearing no bulletproof vest, correct?
that's correct.
You had 3 detectives who were armed in the house and didn't tell any of them where you were going, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't ask any of them to come with you to cover for you, correct?
That's correct.
You had previously stated there was a possibility that dangerous people were on the premises, had you not?
I never used those words.
When you went back to the location where Cato said he heard the noise, you were about 230 feet from the Bronco, weren't you?
I don't know the distance, sir.
You can walk that in a minute, can't you? 235 feet. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
walk that in a minute?
Yes, sir.
Did you know at that time there was blood in the Bronco?
No,
Have you ever testified that there was blood in the Bronco?
I'm not sure if we testified to that in the prelim or not.
Did you wipe a glove in the Bronco, Detective Furman?
No,
You did not.
no.
When you went out to where the glove was eventually pointed out to the other detectives, how long did you spend there before you went back to talk to them?
10, 15 minutes totally.
What did you do for 10 to 15 minutes
Look for
on that scene?
look for a victim or a suspect.
You looked for a victim or suspect.
Yes.
You didn't draw your gun.
I
Correct.
I told you I don't know, sir.
Well, if you'd drawn your weapon and were afraid, you'd remember that, wouldn't you, Detective?
Sir, after 20 years, you draw that weapon
Did you draw
unconsciously.
it? If you remember.
Your Honor, can the witness be allowed to finish his
I thought he had.
answer?
Do you have something more to add?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. What is it?
After 20 years, you draw that weapon, you lay it down to the side of your leg, you walk, you don't even know you're doing it.
Did you walk back into an area where you knew no one else had been because there were cobwebs there?
No, I testified I didn't know if anybody had been back there walking upright. I didn't know if somebody had crawled or
Are you now
what had
saying there were no
transpired.
cobwebs down low?
I didn't go down low, sir. I was upright.
You only felt them in your face?
Yes.
You don't recall whether you had your weapon at the ready or whether it was holstered or some other place?
It was not at the ready.
You know that you were not equipped with any protective gear, correct?
I was not.
Now, if that glove had been there where you say you found it, it would have been placed there by someone involved in the homicide. Isn't that conclusion compelled?
I would assume that, yes.
That would be a vicious killer of some sort, would it not?
Yes.
And you hung around for 15 minutes with no backup and no vest doing something. Is
No,
that correct?
No, it isn't.
Has anyone, to your knowledge, seen that glove there before your arrival?
Not to my knowledge.
Would you think it important that if the glove were in that location, the likelihood was that someone had placed it there who had been at Bundy?
Yes.
And that someone, if it were a human being, would have to have gotten to the spot or near it and gotten away. True?
Yes.
Did you examine the shrubbery to see if anyone had come over that fence that might have crashed the wall or dropped the glove?
That was part of the period of time that I spent back there looking for those type of items, yes.
And did you not satisfy yourself there was no damage to twig or leaf that would have permitted an adult to come over that fence at or near that spot?
It was pretty overgrown. It'd be hard to tell what transpired there.
Did it not seem likely that whoever placed that glove there, Detective Phillips, had walked back out the alley over the leaves?
Excuse me, Detective Phillips or Detective Furman?
I'm sorry, Detective Furman. Over the leaves.
Yes.
And their tracks might still have been there when you made that discovery, correct?
I didn't see anything, but they could have been.
And you could have taken the detectives on the outside of the fence and shown the flashlight through it to point out the glove if you had chosen, could you not?
No, I think that would have been very difficult.
Did it occur to you that there might be footprints there if in fact someone had placed the glove and walked out the alley?
Objection, that seems that's not evidence placed.
Sustained.
Did you think that whoever had dropped that glove might have left footprints?
I did not see any evidence of that, no.
Footprints that were latent, not discernible. Did you think that there might be footprints there that a criminalist could find that might shed light on how the glove got there?
Speculation, objection.
Overruled. Did you consider that?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Did you consider that?
Not at that point, no.
You did not?
No.
Did you then cause 18 pairs of feet to trample that area before any criminalist could get to it?
18 pairs.
18 pairs of feet. 2 Furman, 4 Furman and Phillips, 4 Furman and Van Adder, 4 Furman and Lang, and 4 Furman and Rokar. Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Detective Furman, can you tell us why, when you were talking with Cato Kalin in his room, you asked him where you could find the keys to the Bronco?
I never asked him that.
You're quite sure?
I'm absolutely sure.
Thank you. It's 3 o'clock, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the afternoon at this time. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you regarding the case. We'll stand in recess as far as the jury is concerned until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Detective Furman, good evening. You're ordered to be back here tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll stand in recess.
Quietly, please.
Ooh.
OJ Simpson matter.
Okay. This is a 2-hour video tomorrow, and it goes real high at the end. Look at that. Look at that. Ooh. Oh, gosh. Look at that, though. It's really boring till the very end. It's fine. We'll get through it. It's just 2 hours. We can do 2 hours in our sleep. We've been doing, 4:30. We just did 3.5 hours of streaming. We could do 2 hours. Trying to think. For me to get through with this all, I would have to end my 4:30 stream at 6 o'clock. I could do it. I could try very hard to do an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes tomorrow morning of my regular stream so that we can eat this whole video tomorrow. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do because I need to know. I need to know what this peak is right here. Like I feel like I want to play it right now, but I'm not going to. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna do an hour and 20 minutes on my stream. That'll give me room to talk during the OJ stream. All right. Thank you so much for coming out, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna see what this big peak is. Bye, guys.